Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Season 2 content of War Within has been live for a handful of weeks now, and by this point we already started to develop a bit of a meta when it comes to endgame progression. Even though there are some new patch notes arriving very soon, we still have been seeing a trend for certain classes to become more popular as of this season, with many rising and falling to take the #1 spot either when it comes to solo content like BG Blitz and Solo Shuffle, or comp-based content like proper 2v2s, 3v3s, and even RBGs. And I want to take a look at how the meta is shaping up so far for the PvP season. Mostly taking a look at the raw numbers of popularity when it comes to classes, not which classes are performing the best, but rather which ones are seeing the most play right now as of this moment. Taking a look at all the different brackets and all the data that we've collected so far to see how the season has been shaping up in this current snapshot. But with more patch notes and more class tuning, we're likely going to continue seeing fluctuations, though I still want to take a closer look at which classes are currently the most popular choices for now within Season 2 content of the War Within. As always, if you guys want to see more videos like these, taking a look at data and charts for the season, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. One of the more popular melee across multiple brackets for PvP right now in multiple pieces of content, whether we talk about BG Blitz or smaller content like 2v2, 3v3, solo queue arenas, there's quite a lot of Windwalkers monks right now over on the ladder, and it makes sense because this was one of the specs that saw a couple of talent adjustments, but also a huge injection of buffs towards the very tail end of the development from the PTR. See, receiving a variety of different damage amps all across the board, especially to some of the changed and adjusted capstones, things like your Slicing Wind saw a huge damage amp, and it continues to receive love for PvE content, but is now trying to get toned down for PvP. Things like your Capacitor also started off very strong too, giving monks a bit of a built-up damage, but which results in fantastic bursts to follow. And then combine it together with Celestial Conduit and how they try to spruce this one up a little bit. It just gives them like a very deadly scenario, a triple trifecta of burst synergies that can be combined either together or separated, giving them a lot of kill potential without reducing their effectiveness of Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kicks, being able to knock up players with the ability of Whirling Dragon Punch, which adds you a little bit extra control. The class didn't really get any less tankier. In fact, it actually became a little bit more susceptible to damage, with Dance of Wind being reduced from a dodge to a physical damage reduction. Used to be able to dodge a Rogue's Kidney once in a while to prevent a proper lockdown, but you can't do that anymore. So you still do need a little bit of mobility and finesse to get around and not get locked down. But at least compared to the competition, they do seem to have quite a decent bit of mobility, which does help them amp up. But the talent revamp that they saw has been definitely a boon for Windwalker, and if you haven't checked one out right now, these guys are looking really good, whether you're looking at dungeon content, but also specifically PvP content. So it seemed like a really solid all-rounder for the season, at least for the time being. We'll see if more tuning continues to dampen them as we go on throughout the season. Marksmanship would be another spec that's also seen a lot of play in this season, and I feel like every time I queue solo content, I see a lot of marksmanship. It's not quite the most popular build, at least when it comes to comp content, like 2v2s, 3v3s, and even proper RBGs. But in solo blitz or solo shuffle, it does see a lot of popularity there specifically, and it makes sense because it did get quite a decent rework. Not only do you lose out on the pet, which you can regain with Unbreakable Bond, I have seen players running with this talent specifically, but you no longer rely on the pet for a lot of that utility. Whether you're trying to give yourself cunning with Master's Call, whether you're trying to use things like your Roar Sacrifice, all of those things are done with this Harrier Eagle that flies up in the sky that you don't really get to interact with as a proper pet, but it's still just as effective because it could swoop down, intimidate your targets, and do everything you needed to do as a utilitarian bonus, while allowing Marksmanship Hunter to really be this lone wolf. You technically are helped by an eagle, but since this is a pet that can't be targeted or anything like that, you basically have all that utility without having to rely on the proper pet and pet swapping in order to establish it, making the spec a little bit more reliable for PvP content. The big rework for Season 2 has also helped them out a bunch when it comes to their talent tree, giving them quite a bit of choices between burst damage with things like double tap making a richer, which is massive, but also with some of the new PvP talents that they have gained. Gaining quite a few new ones for marksmen specifically, like Sniper's Advantage, True Shot and Volume, increasing their range of all of your abilities for a short bit, which can be incredibly good for BG Blitz on certain maps, or even Aspect of the Fox that allows your aim shot to be cast while moving, while Aspect of the Cheetah is currently active, which can give you a little bit more maneuverability that you've had in the past, allowing you to secure those kills with massive aim shots instead of solely relying on primarily rapid fire to boost your damage, which has allowed marksmanship to just be a lot more consistent all throughout PvP so far. Getting better utility, varied damage challenges that give you quite a lot of options and quite a decent competitive edge right now, and a lot of popularity in just the sheer numbers of hunters you run into in solo content. Now, another melee spec that has done quite well for itself so far throughout Season 2 has been the Fury Warrior, which compared to Windwalker is another solid melee alternative choice, with specifically good in solo content, but also having a bit more popularity in pre-made content. And I would say Warrior is probably the most well-rounded and most popular amongst all brackets. You know, some classes are going to be better in 2v2, some better in 3v3, some better in solos, and Fury Warrior sees great representation distribution across every single metric and every single PvP form of endgame. So that would probably be one of the more popular picks when it comes to overall content. There's also a bunch of damage buffs all across the board with a decent change up to their talents. Some of the playstyles like the Reckless Abandon Burst became a lot more cooldown heavy than passive, so some warriors have dropped off of it. The ability of Unhinged with the Blazestorm is still really good, even if you don't combine it together with Slayer at all times. But they've also allowed warriors to gain a little bit more defense and quality of life improvements within their talent tree. Things like your Rallying Cry has gotten 100% more effective in PvP, no longer having to be reliant solely off of Master and Commander, as it just provides a cooldown reduction, but no longer increases the effectiveness, with the Rallying Cry becoming solid bit of utility to bring into group content. You also gain a little bit extra health, reinforced plates, absorbing one other talent that increase your stamina that you normally wouldn't invest points into. Those points can now be reallocated anywhere else, with reinforced plates giving you a little bit better overall protection. Also, you got a few new PvP talents that are now a bit more experimental, but can be good in some core situations, like Dragon Charge replacing Heroic Leap, a protection warrior talent that does a bit of physical damage, but has a decent bit of knockback, which can be great on certain maps within BG Blitz. Then there's also a unique one called Berserker Roar that actually gives you immunity to the next crowd control ability, or rather, not an immunity, but a reduction, a heavy reduction reduced by 50%, which can give you a window to break out of a CC very quickly to secure a kill, which could possibly see more play throughout the season. There's definitely a lot of potential to how Fury Warrior may evolve as we go on to Season 2, but so far it has seen definitely quite a bit of popularity all throughout every content or every bit of content available within PvP. Now, while working on this video, I definitely did notice that we're missing an archetype altogether here when it comes to popularity. And I did want to include at least one ranged DPS caster. Marksman is kind of a caster, it is a range class, but it can't really be interrupted like a proper caster can be. But out of classes like mages and warlocks and others, Shadow Priest I think is the one that sees the most representation in PvP, at least as of this moment. As for Season 2, there's really nothing that was done for Shadow Priest to make him better or worse. They didn't really see too many changes except for a brand new tier set. But as far as casters go, this one has a lot of instant cast CC capabilities. It definitely makes for a fantastic team-based class, especially in content like 3v3 comps or even solo shuffle. A very powerful choice that has consistent burst, decent defenses, and superb ability to crowd control an enemy target, making it, at least as of this moment, the most popular caster within PvP across all the brackets. And lastly, I wanted to highlight at least one healer for this season, and this one is the easiest choice. There's only one healer that's absolutely dominating every single PvP bracket, and that is the Disc Priest. Now, there is a whole new set of tuning that's arriving very soon, depending when you watch this video, either today or potentially sometime this week, that is trying to do a bit of balancing for PvP. Disc Priest, ever since Season 2 started, have become a very dominant choice. That was very, very popular back in Season 1, but it's kind of gotten absurd just how good they are and how much they are everywhere in Season 2. They're miles ahead of every other class when it comes to every single bracket, above even Mistweavers when content like RBGs, where even there, Mistweavers used to be very, very competitive and fairly equal to Disc Priest, who were always vying for that #1 spot. Maybe also with Preservation Evokers included into the mix as well, because they've generally been pretty good for BG Blitz also. But it's pretty disgusting how strong and how popular Disc Priest is at the moment. They are definitely very, very powerful, and the next set of tuning is looking to change up the balance a little, which will hopefully appear because we definitely need some healer variety within PvP in general. The season cannot go on this way, just for the sake of I just want to be able to see different comps and different playstyles and different synergies outside of comps all around Disc Priest and their playstyle. But if I had to rank the top most popular healer as of this moment, Disc Priest easily takes the cake, at least so far within Season 2. And I cannot wait to see how the meta will continue to shape and evolve over these next few weeks, as we'll hopefully continue to get more and more tuning passes. But with that, as always, I want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciate it. Shout out to this community if you want to keep up with all the newest class changes, because there will likely be even more patch notes over the next few weeks to balance out all the classes for the season. Hopefully, at the very least, especially when it comes to that healer variety. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.